Hey guys, it's Lindsay from Wannabe KY Homesteaders, and today I am going to talk about transitioning our baby chicks outside and how we integrate them into our current flock. Now, if you're just getting into chickens and you don't have any of the adult hens, you don't necessarily have to worry about the integrating part. The only step you need to make sure that you know is that it's at least 50 degrees at night and your birds are fully feathered before they stay out all night. So you might be able to bring them out during the day, keep them in at night, just to ensure the health of your bird, because this is a costly investment and you want your animals to be able to thrive. So we are using the see, don't touch method. I will have this little crate up for about 2 weeks just to keep the baby chicks separated. This will give them more time to grow and everyone will be able to see each other. That way there's no fights, there's no injuries, because again, this is a costly investment and I want to ensure the safety and well-being of my entire flock. So for 2 weeks, the baby chicks are going to be inside this cage. I will very gradually start opening the door so they can explore more and then they can interact with the older chickens that we have as well. I was always told, if you share a meal together, you're typically on good terms. So there will be lots of snacks, lots of food, lots of treats, just to ensure everyone's happy and coexisting well. So I filmed this video over about 2 weeks. I wanted to slowly show the entire process and you'll be able to see just kind of as the chicks feather out a little bit more. So when I first started this, the baby chicks absolutely could not stay outside at night yet. So I brought them out during the day with food and water, so then that way they could start seeing all the other chickens and then work on that integration. Now, something else that I want to start doing when I start to transition these baby chicks outside is I'm not going to have food and water inside their brooder at night. I do not keep food and water inside my coop. I do this primarily for frostbite reasons, and I also feel like it's just a little bit easier to maintain and keep things cleaner when they're outside. So here's all the little fluffs, not quite fully feathered yet, but they are definitely outgrowing that brooder and they need to start getting used to being outside, because I am not going to have chickens running around the inside of my house. There would be so many fights between the cats and the chickens, so these little guys need to start getting used to being outside. So right after they all get out, you can see those little zoomies. They're running and jumping around. They're definitely enjoying it because that brooder was getting kind of small for them. So for the first 3 to 4 days when I bring them back in at night, they're still going to have food and water inside their brooder. So after the 3 to 4 nights, I'm going to take away that food and water and I'm going to leave everything else the same. They just come out during the day, come in at night, just so they can start getting used to the fact that there's no food and water at night. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start transitioning them off the heat. I do not have supplemental heat inside my coop. These guys need to learn to be self-sufficient with their heat, and also, again, no food and water at night. So I often find that this helps encourage them to roost and be more still. Otherwise, you'll hear that party at 2 a.m. of chickens running and jumping around, exploring. So they're past, I guess you could say, the infant stage, where they need more of a schedule, they need to stay on a schedule, because that is going to help them once they integrate completely and totally with the flock. So if you've never had baby chicks, they grow so incredibly fast. So here is a clip of the inside of our brooder where we keep them. As you see, there's no food and water. It gets pretty small. I have the heat lamp up now at the absolute highest point that I can. This is actually their last night that they had with it, so the next coming 3 to 4 nights, they're not going to have it. But it is just truly amazing to see within a week, almost every single one is fully feathered. They're pretty much ready to go, with the exception of being actually integrated. So now I really need to focus on that process of letting everyone mingle together. So I will start by just opening that door. The chicks can run back in there if they feel uncomfortable, but of course my more curious hens are going to be right up in there. They want to see what's going on. So once they are off the heat, I'm going to start keeping them outside in the coop at night. Now typically I have this cage inside the actual coop part so they can see the big chickens roosting and be around them in that sense. But unfortunately that didn't work out this year, but they're at least still inside. They can hear the other chickens can hear them. So, and then I'm just going to keep putting them out during the day, still in their little pen. So I do, I guess, more supervised when I first open this door just to ensure no one's fighting, no one's upset. So, and the other hens kind of just don't really care at this point. Like they've seen them a bunch, they've been around them, they've heard them. So it's just kind of like two different little flocks going on. But eventually they'll start getting brave enough, they'll start wandering around, they'll be curious what some of the other hens are doing. Sometimes there will be what it seems like fights, but it's not really like a true blown fight. Like if you've ever seen chickens that are truly upset and going after one another, it gets pretty bad pretty quick. A lot of it is just kind of establishing their pecking order, and the older hens, and of course the roosters too, are kind of establishing their boundaries. So as I said, I want to have lots of snacks, I want to have lots of treats. I forget where I heard the saying, you know, like if you willing to eat with someone, typically you're on good terms. I definitely use that a lot when I worked with horses. So I'm applying it here because I like food and I'm not going to eat with someone that I don't like. So I'm just going to apply that to the chickens as well because it's always worked for me. I've never had issues out of it. Plus I like to introduce some different snacks and foods for the birds because I do not want them just to eat only their feed that they have. I want them to be able to forage, I want them to be able to try new things because I also think that helps egg production. So now we're on the final stage of this integration, which is essentially just getting the chicks to go into the coop at night and to roost. So this is always typically like the hardest step for us. We always have the one or two that just don't want to do it. I do not want chickens sleeping in nesting boxes. I do not want them sleeping on the floor. So I want to encourage them to get on those roosts. And of course, this is always a great time to see which hens, and in my case, rooster, is sleeping in the nesting boxes, and remind them by putting them on the roost. So when the little guys jump up on the roost themselves, I'm not going to mess with them. If they're on the floor or inside the nesting boxes, I'm going to put them up on the roost. So typically the roost kind of also shows you the pecking order, and I do not want to mess with the pecking order. That would cause problems. They are going where they feel comfortable, where they know they belong. So again, I just want to keep them up off the floor and not in the nesting boxes because I do not want to have to clean out those nesting boxes all the time because they get gross, they get nasty, and I don't want to have to deal with that. So overall, it took us about 2 weeks to get everyone integrated. Chickens are really smart. They can figure out most things on their own, or they only need to see it once or twice to know what they're supposed to do. So this was also a great time to check on the other hens and roosters in the flock, make sure no one's sleeping in nesting boxes, encourage everyone to sleep on those roosts. So let me know down in the comments how integration went for you and what birds you are planning to add to your flock this next time. I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, and I will see you guys in the next one.